can always do a retake if it goes terribly.
Good afternoon. Today I'm speaking to Emma. Hi Emma, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hello, I'm Emma. I write under the name E.J. Wood, and I'm a writer or author, so to speak, in Spain.
And
I wrote.
yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, you've wrote.
My latest release is a historical thriller called Amelie.
Which is out next week, isn't it?
Yes, it's on the 15th, which is Thursday, I think, is publication day, which I'm quite looking forward to.
You should. Do you want to tell everyone a little bit about it?
Basically, Amelie is a young girl during late 1930s who is caught up in the Second World War with her family. Her father is British and her mother is Hungarian, so she's a little bit of both, but they're also Jewish, and has many horrific stories of the Second World War. She is captured by the Nazis and taken to Auschwitz along with her mother and her brother. And basically, she survives. She's quite a hardy young girl. She survives, but she cannot live with what she witnessed and what she endured with her family. So she goes off on a revenge saga, trying to do her family and other families justice into what happened during those horrific years. In the meantime, she's attracting the attention of Britain's underground, and they don't particularly like her and they see her as a bit of a nuisance, but they are persuaded to actually hire her as her personal assassin because she contains quite a unique set of skills. And while she's carrying out their dirty work, MI6 are on to capturing her at the same time. So there's a little bit of a cat and mouse chase that goes on through the eras right up until about the 1980s. So hopefully people will enjoy following her and what she gets up to.
Yeah, she's quite brutal.
Yeah, she doesn't hold back, put it that way.
Did you always want to write?
I don't think I really thought about writing when I was young. When I was at school, I was studying English and English literature. And my stories started flowing when we had to write essays just on basically anything. And I really enjoyed it. And I was allowed to pour out emotions and make a fantasy world and become someone else. And I think that's where it originated from. And when I started studying English literature, I found that learning about the likes of John Keats and Shakespeare and the romantic side of things and their different language was quite fascinating. So at the same time, I started trying to incorporate my literature side with my general English side. And started making stories that way. So yeah, I've probably been writing now for about 17 years and I'm still learning.
And what's been your favourite moment so far being an author?
Definitely joining Question Mark Press this year, having the support that I've received from the members of Question Mark Press has definitely been eye-opening and enlightening, because I think every author that writes a book has confidence issues, and I think having someone actually say, yeah, they really enjoyed your book and let's get it out there and actually feel as enthusiastic as you do yourself has been such a rewarding experience. And that definitely for me, as well as finishing the book, always helps. That for me has been the most rewarding part of my experience so far in the years that I've been writing stories. It's definitely these last couple of months, definitely.
If you were a character in Amelie, who would you be?
Oh, well, that's the $1,000,000 question, isn't it? But I think every author that writes a book, I think they do put an aspect of their own character into the characters that they're writing. So if you have this brutal psychopath, I'm not saying that the author themselves is a brutal psychopath, but maybe in their thinking and their mannerisms, there is an aspect of the character. And I would say that I'm not saying that I would be Amelie, because I'm not really that brutal, but I think I don't know how to word this nicely. I think some of her thinking is definitely the way I go about life, but I'm not necessarily as black and white as Amelie, although some would disagree with that. But yeah, I don't go around bludgeoning people or shooting them point blank. But
That's good to
yeah,
know.
I think in the characters of Amelie, then it would probably be Amelie herself that I could best relate to. If you don't assume that I'm some sort of psychopath in real life.
I assume nothing. And what made you decide to write a historical fiction book?
Well, I've always been interested in Second World War. Not so much the First World War, that's a little bit too old for me. But I do collect Second World War memorabilia. So I have an old Wehrmacht passport, travel document, basically, from a factory worker, and who actually resembles Hitler himself, strangely. And I have an old, I can't remember what it's called now. Can't remember what it's called. It's a trumpet type thing that my other half gave me, which actually is from 1917. And I have various other bits and shells and bits and pieces. And I've always been interested in the Holocaust. So when it came to me writing a new story, I was really interested in writing a crime thriller. And it just occurred to me to write something that I was interested in and I knew a little bit about. So I wanted to write it about the Holocaust, but also justify why she was the way she was because of the Holocaust. And I wanted to also perhaps educate people now that don't really know much about the Holocaust, what people went through. I mean, we're losing more and more survivors now because as the years go on, they're getting older and older. But I think it's important that the young generation don't forget or dismiss what those people went through, because there is a lot of Holocaust denial out in the world. And I think for the families of those survivors, it's important that the world doesn't forget. And that was really one of the motives behind writing Amelie, was that people don't forget and people don't realise that it's just a fictitious story, that there was some truth to it. And I think that's probably why a lot of people write about the Holocaust, just as a reminder not to forget what people suffered and went through. So it's quite sad, really, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I completely agree. I don't think people should be allowed to forget ever.
I added a little section into the back of the book, what inspired Amelie, and yeah, I found it quite difficult to write, really, because there's so much inspiration that went into writing the book, but that was predominantly the reason why, was so that people didn't forget what happened.
Are you a big reader? Do you get much time to read?
Oh, I would like to have the time to read every day, but the reality is I have so much going on at the moment that's something that I really struggle with. And I also struggle with reading other people's work while I'm writing a story of my own, because I find it distracts my train of thought. I mean, I can have a story in my head from start to finish, but if I'm reading anybody's book in between, my mind will sort of start trailing off, and then I wouldn't want what was originally in my mind changed because of someone else's book. So then my book became more familiar with theirs. So I try not to read other people's work while I'm writing, But in between writing, I like to read other people's work and then, see why other people liked it and why other people didn't like it.
And what are some of your favourite books?
Oh, well, I do like the Kathy Reichs and Karen Slaughter. I do like some of their work. There are the odd books that I don't really like. I wouldn't want to name any books in particular that I do and don't like, because I think everybody has their own opinion. I do mention on Goodreads some books that I like. I like the Thomas Harris series, Hannibal Lecter. That was definitely a lot of influence for me in writing Amelie, because I'm a big fan of Hannibal. And what I wanted to achieve with Amelie was what Thomas Harris achieved with Hannibal, was that he was such a sadistic, horrible character, but the reader actually sympathized with in some way because of what he went through. So hopefully that will come across in Amelie. So I'm a big fan of his books. I'm willing to give anything a real go, to be honest. I'm not too into comedies or romantic comedies or anything like that. I'm more into your crime, psychological, gory. those those sort of type books. I mean, I think that they say thriller writers are the nicest people to come across because they pour their darkness into their stories, but whether how true or not that is, I don't know.
No, I've never been convinced.
It's the romantic comedies you've got to watch out for.
Yeah, that's what I've heard as well.
Yeah, they're the ones that keep it all bottled up.
Yeah. What's the most interesting thing you found out while researching your books?
Well, because I'm British, you may have been able to tell that by now. I was raised in Spain, so I don't really know anything about Britain. I mean, I'm certainly not accustomed to their culture, or I mean, I get the language muddled up sometimes. My other half, he's from Luton, so probably Dunstable, Hayes. Whereas I originally was from Chichester, so I'd never been to Luton or London or anywhere. And we went back, and I found it really enlightening because it's so different from how I remember. And when I started writing Amelie, I said to my other half, I said, I need to know, I need to know a little bit about Britain's culture and what happened, because so much of today's music has, what's the word? This is what I'm saying. I get my language muddled up. It's the language. It was iconic back then, from the 60s and the 50s. You have the David Bowies, and you have the Beatles, and you have the Mick Jaggers, and I think that influenced a lot of music today. And I think it was really important that I actually learnt more about our history and our royal family. So in doing so, I used that to help write Amelie. So while I was researching for my own knowledge, I actually was able to put that down on paper to helpfully, teach other people that may be in the same predicament as myself, that don't really know anything about Britain's culture and history. And maybe would learn something from my books. I certainly have, researching them. I've learned an awful lot. I've forgotten a lot of bits now as well, but yeah, I found it quite enlightening, and it's certainly more interesting back then than it is nowadays. So yeah.
It's so weird someone knows where I live as well. Usually no one's ever heard of it. It's so odd.
Well, I hadn't, to be honest, until my other half came along. I was like, where's that? I can't even pronounce British locations. Honestly, I'm terrible. I know I know Hertfordshire is called Hertfordshire now, but I would have said Hertfordshire or something like that, because I approach the English language like I do Spanish, and he finds it endearing, but I find it embarrassing, would be the word.
Don't worry, people that live in Hertfordshire are snobby enough that they would probably pronounce it Hertfordshire anyway. So you'd be fine. Oh, especially
Do.
at St Albans and some other places. Yeah, you'd be fine.
And what makes it worse is that he's half Welsh. So he spent a lot of his time in Wales, and he said, oh, I'm from this word, and it's spelled CWM. And I thought, I wouldn't even know how to go about even trying to pronounce CWM. And he goes, oh, it's cum. And I'm like, yeah, but how do you know that? So yeah, he's definitely been very helpful in learning a lot of the English locations.
Yeah, we don't bother with Welsh. Just like, there's too many consonants. What are you on? You can't pronounce it.
And yeah, and they still speak Welsh, and it's just like blah, 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 blah. It's just sheep talk to me.
Oh, I know, weirdos. They're lovely though. I speak to a lot of Welsh authors, so I better be careful. They're all really nice.
Oh, they're such lovely people. They are. They're very. I mean, his father was absolutely amazing. Yeah, very, very lovely people, but everybody's different. So I'm not really English myself, so people probably find me a little bit strange as well. But there you go. If we're all the same, it would be boring, wouldn't we?
Yes, absolutely. So have you made lots of author friends?
Ah, well, I've met a couple. That to me is lots. And I hope to meet more. I do like to support other people. I'm not necessarily doing it for support in return. I'm a very, I never really had a lot of support in my upbringing for anything. And I wouldn't ever want someone to be on the same end of the stick that I was on when I was growing up. So although some people do find me quite blunt and direct, I can be quite supportive. I mean, I do have a client of mine that has written a book himself, local to me, and yeah, if I can help him learn anything about Amazon and self-publishing, book covers, anything like that, then I'm more than happy to help with the knowledge that I've got. You know, a lot of people have given me some advice over the years that I've taken on board. And if I can do the same, then I'm more than welcome. You know, I'm more than happy to help anybody that asks for it. So if anyone's got any questions or wants to know anything about Spain or anything they might think that I might know, then yeah, I'm more than happy to answer anybody's questions with no problem at all there.
And have you had much feedback from readers?
Yes. Some people I do know, but I'd probably say about 85% of the people that I've read Amelie so far, I don't know who they are. They've never met them. I've never spoken to them. And they've come back with some really genuine, kind feedback. And I think for me, that puts a smile on my face, that just brightens up my day. And it doesn't matter what happens in that day, the people that I deal with or the trouble that I may encounter, having the kind words from those readers, it just stays in my mind. And I just think, you know, I'm having a really crappy day, but that person said something so genuine and lovely to me this morning. And that just, for me, that was more important. And it just brings a smile to my face, even when I'm feeling really low. So, so far, so good. And hopefully it will stay that way and people will enjoy Amelie, and perhaps I'll, you know, depending on how well received Amelie and John are, depends on whether they come out of hiding or not. But there you go.
I hope they do, personally, so let's see.
I have a couple of ideas in mind.
Awesome, that's wicked. What's your biggest dream being an author?
Well, I would like to write full time. I only write as and when I can. My other half would say I probably need to invest a little bit more time into my business. And I always say, well, I want to invest more time into writing. But I think every author experiences when they're just starting out, or they've only really been professional for a little while. I would love the opportunity to be able to write full time and release at least one book a year. That would be my ultimate goal. And because I think I still have a few stories up here somewhere that I need to tap into. And if people enjoy them, then hopefully I'll get more time to dedicate to writing. And if people don't enjoy them, then maybe they won't be too bothered whether I write them down or not. But that would be my goal, is to be able to actually invest a little bit more time into writing.
And what do you like to do when you're not working and you're not writing?
Well, I tend to work 7 days a week at the moment, because that tends to be the downfall of owning your own business. A lot of people think, oh, when you own your own business, it's great, but it's not. I mean, I'd love to go back to a 9 till 5 and just get my paycheck at the end of it. That sounds like heaven. But we do need a break every now and then. So when COVID permits, we do like to go down to the coast. I'm only about 15 minutes away. And it is lovely to just sit there and have a cup of coffee by the seaside. One thing that isn't affected by the world that we live in today is my other hobby, and that's riding motorcycles. So we get to go out a lot on the motorbikes, exploring the countryside a little bit. We've just bought ourselves a couple of enduros, so we can actually go down some dirt roads, which is quite nice. We can go up the mountains and take a little snack with us, stop, start, and enjoy motorcycling. And when we're not doing that, it's running after my bulldog that seems to chase me everywhere and demand constant attention. So much so that I had to put him in one of my short stories just to make him happy. He's probably snoring his head off at the moment. That's why he's not here.
Bless.
But,
who was your first celebrity crush?
Oh, my first one. Oh, I'm going to get laughed at now, because when I was younger, I used to be a big Buffy fan. And everyone's going to go, no. And I quite liked Angel. I know that's really sad. I probably can't pronounce his name right, but is it David Boreanaz?
Boreanaz or something, isn't it?
Boreanaz. Yeah, he was my first celebrity crush. I've moved on now and I've got another one, but maybe I better keep that one a secret.
Have you seen Bones?
Yes. So yeah, well, there you go. That Bones was an adaptation, wasn't it, from the Kathy Reichs books as well? So yeah, he's definitely in my top 10.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I totally get that one. I would definitely.
Tall, dark, and broody.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally with you.
A lot of people wouldn't agree with me, but he was in my top 10 when I was young. He was the guy. Definitely. I could totally see myself running around with a stake in my hand, stabbing vampires, and having him come to the rescue. That was like, heaven.
Yeah.
I have different fantasies now.
Yeah, I won't ask you about those. You're quite safe.
No. I write them down on paper now instead.
That's good, I think. At least I don't have to hear about them, I guess. I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah.
What's the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to you?
Oh, do you know what? I had this really funny question. You'd ask this, and I didn't know how I would answer that. Oh God, I don't really have an answer. I mean, I've had so much embarrassing things happen to me in the past. Like I couldn't nail one that was most embarrassing. All I can tell you is the most recent embarrassing, and that goes back to the language thing again. But I'm not sure if I can tell you because it's so embarrassing. And I'm going to come across as a bit of a half-wit if I come out with it, and people are going to think I'm really stupid, so I'm not sure if I should tell you.
Well, now you've told us that, you've got to tell us, because otherwise people are just going to nag, especially Jim and Matt.
Okay. Okay, I was reading aloud part of my book, and I had to pronounce this one word. And this client of mine that I mentioned previously, he's really, really clever. I mean, he's on a completely different planet. He's a musician. He's on Google. He's on YouTube. He's quite famous back in his day. He's in his 70s now, and he was really, really helpful, and he dedicated a lot of time, and he really gave me his undying attention. And he said, "Oh, you're writing a book?" And I said, "Yeah, I was." And he said, "Oh, I'll come up and I'll spend a couple of hours with you and you can read it to me." And I said, "Okay, yeah, I'd love that," being really naive. And I said this one word, and he just stopped. And he was like, "Stop." I said, "What's the matter?" And he said, "Do you mean symposium?" I said, "What did I say?" And he went, "Symposium." And I just died. I was like, right. So he says it's symposium. I said, "Oh, is it?" And he said, "Why did you pronounce it like that?" And I said, I don't know, it just slipped out. And he said, "That must be the Spanish in you. You've just approached this word and you've read it as if you would read a Spanish word." So that was probably the most recent embarrassing thing that just probably reduced my IQ about 100. But he still comes up and sees me, and he still likes me, and he still talks to me. So he obviously finds it endearing and not completely pathetic.
Does he remind you about it and make you feel even worse?
No, normally he picks me up on other words that I mispronounce. So, but I'm quite used to feeling embarrassed around him now because of that tragic, embarrassing moment. So I just accept that he's just on a completely different planet than the rest of us. He talks about music and everything has to flow, and he's got an ear for this. And funny enough, he really likes Lady Gaga. And I thought, wow, I like Lady Gaga, but he actually says, no, she can sing, which is quite strange coming out of the mouth of someone in their mid-70s. It was,
yeah, I'm quite surprised actually.
Yeah, it was really odd. But no, he's a really genuinely nice guy, and he's really, really helped me. So I can't say a bad word against him, only that he's not shy on picking me up where I go wrong. Yeah. So now everyone else is going to laugh at me. There you go. I've told everyone my secret.
Yeah.
Live.
Yeah, you might be in trouble with Jim and Matt now. They're the worst too.
They didn't do their background checks, obviously.
No, they clearly haven't. That much is obvious on a daily basis, I find.
It's too late now.
It's much too late, bless them. That's why they're trying to get more men in, isn't it? So that they can balance out all us lot.
When they said that they were having a new author join, I thought, I know who it's going to be. It's going to be a man. And lo and behold, it was.
Yep.
Still I'm really excited about, because I'm really excited because I have been following this said author's journey, and I'm really happy that he's joined the team. So yeah,
it's good fun as well, isn't it? And we can take the piss out of them quite freely, and they just take it.
Yes, and no doubt I'll be taking the piss out of again as well. But fortunately, I have to type a lot of what I say and not pronounce it. So.
Post-lockdown, if you had the opportunity, you have one country to visit, one concert to go to, and then one other option of something to do, what are you doing?
Oh, now I've always wanted to go to a Michael Jackson concert, but it's too late now. And I always wanted to go to Freddie Mercury concert, but it's too late now. So that just seems to happen to be my life. Everything that I want to do or everywhere I want to go, I can't do because they either die before I have the opportunity to do so, or they stop singing. So I definitely think a Freddie Mercury or a Michael Jackson concert would have been in the top 5. Amazing. Now, anybody that's living, I'm not really sure. I think a Madonna concert could have been quite good, but I'm not sure now whether she would be as good as what I would envision her being, 20 years ago. So I'm not really sure now. Country-wise, I'd love to go to America just because it's so different. I've lived in Australia for a couple of years, and that was an amazing experience. I'd love to go to America. I'd love to do the, what's it called? I'm just going blank now at the moment. What's it called where you do the motorbike from California up to Boston? Where is it called?
Route 66.
The trip. That's the one, Route 66. But I'm not sure I could bring myself to ride a Harley because we're not really Harley fans. No, I might ride a Harley just for the trip, but if I could ride something else, that would be nicer, really. But yeah, I can't believe I couldn't remember that. I mean, how bad is that? Biker chick can't remember Route 66. I mean, terrible.
That's your age catching up with you. Gets worse.
I think it is. Yeah, it is. It's diminishing. So I have to get my stories down while they're still there.
I'm older than you, so it gets worse, trust me.
You don't look it.
I totally agree about Michael Jackson and Freddie Mercury as well.
Oh,
Just
do you know what? I
dream.
think that would have been absolutely amazing. I think they both are were true performers that actually enjoyed the stage and enjoyed the performance side of it. I don't like nowadays where everything is on the keyboard and everything's got to be synthesized. I really, it doesn't take a singer nowadays to be able to sing because it's all computerized. So yeah, if I could go back in time and go to one of their concerts, that would have been definitely an amazing experience. I'm still a fan of Queen and some Michael Jackson songs. Even nowadays, I'd love to watch his. There was a new film, wasn't there? Bohemian Rhapsody, I think, came out with. What's his name? Malik, is it?
Rami Malek, yeah.
Rami Malek, yeah. I'm still dying to see that.
Oh, you haven't seen it? Oh,
no, I've not. I'm desperate to see it.
Watch it. You have to watch it.
And I said to my other half, we've got to go and see it in the cinema where they ramp up the music and we can sit there going, ah. But he wasn't. He wasn't really feeling it like I was, so I haven't seen it yet. Oh.
You must make this number one on your to-do list.
I will do, yeah.
Books, forget the business, sort everything else. You need to watch this film.
Yeah, I'm waiting for it to come on Netflix. I don't think it's on Netflix yet, is it?
I don't think so. I saw it on Sky Movies, I think. So, yeah.
Get it on Netflix, get a sound bar, turn off the lights and just watch it. Just get in the moment. Yeah.
Absolutely. Anyway, books.
Books, yeah, sorry. We went on to talking about movies.
I don't mind. I'll talk about anything. But yeah, probably should talk about books, I suppose.
That's what everyone's here for, aren't they?
Well, apparently. So, Emily is out next week. And then what's coming next for you?
Well, I'm working on a historical suspense at the moment because I quite enjoyed writing in the past tense, in the 40s, the 50s and the 60s. I don't, as I said before, I don't really know a great deal of how things were back then because it was before I was born. But I do live with an older man who does remind me all the time of things that happened back then, and he'd come out with like, before mobile phones and this and the other. So I thought it would be quite challenging to actually write a book where there wasn't computers, there weren't mobile phones, there was no such thing as DNA, there was no forensics. It was good old detective work where it was down to the quick thinking of the detective to actually interview and think, so-and-so said that before and yeah, this has happened and that must have been a lie, and actually working out how something happened without the ease of mobile phones, GPS tracking, cameras on every street corner. So I thought, me being me, it would be a challenge. So I've actually wrote a historical suspense that sets the period in the 1960s. So, and it's about a missing child. So that's what I'm working on. About halfway through that at the moment. And if I can get a little bit more free time, I'll be investing that into writing and finishing that book, which is a little bit different from Amelie. There's not really any gore or anything involved. I'm working on Not So Nice Scene to go in my historical suspense. But that hopefully will be coming out this year if I get enough time to finish it.
Awesome, that sounds great.
Hopefully it will be.
Yeah, it will be. I have faith. So I don't think I have any questions left for you, unless you think there's anything I haven't asked you that you want to tell us.
No, not that I can think of. I think I've bored everybody now.
No, you haven't. You're fine. You were great.
So yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
There's a bit of a delay there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Has to cross the pond, you see.
I know. Yeah, it's taken time, isn't it, to get over good old technology.
Technology.
Yeah, we sound like 50-year-olds.
We do, don't we? I think we're getting too old.
Oh,
moaning about technology.
And music as well, the young music.
Yes, yes. Oh, bring back Freddie Mercury.
Please.
I might get some fans in their 70s that think, oh, yes.
Yeah.
Most of my friends are probably over the age of 70, so that's okay with me.
Yeah. Over 70-year-olds are great anyway. They're loads of fun. Plus, they don't give a crap and just say what they want.
My mother-in-law is 83, you know, and she still goes out partying. It was only because of lockdown that she actually stopped going down to Benidorm and partying until 6 o'clock in the morning. She's 83.
That was like my nan.
And she's mad. She's like, where have you been? Oh, I've been down Benidorm, didn't get home till 6 o'clock this morning. I was like, what? I like to go to bed at 10.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. That's brilliant. Right. Before we go, would you like to tell everyone where they can find out more about you and where they can find your books?
I'm very active on Instagram. I do put a lot of spam up about my dog because, as I told you before, he does like a lot of attention. So I do take a lot of pictures of my Harley, and I do have a few cats. So a cat might slip in now and then. So you can find me on Instagram, E_J_Wood_author. And I have a website, ejwoodauthor.com. Also on Facebook, EJ Wood. And on Twitter, yes. I've managed to get into Twitter, although I'm still not sure how it works quite, but I'm trying. So I'm pretty much on every platform, I think.
Well, awesome.
And Amelie, you can find on Amazon on you're laughing. I'm trying.
I know.
Yeah, Amazon, I think it's on all of the Amazons. I've not really checked them all. I think it's on .co.uk, .de, .es. I think it's pretty much on all of them.
Yeah. I would think so. And Thursday the 15th, isn't it? That's released.
Yes, I'm not quite sure what time, but I think Amelie's still on pre-order for 99p, and on the 15th it'll be going up to 1.99. So yeah, if you haven't ordered it yet and you still want to give it a go, it's on there for 99p until Thursday.
Now I'm kicking off the blog tour on Wednesday, I believe. So
yes, I'm quite looking forward to that.
Yeah,
I literally thought a book tour meant that the book itself actually went on the proverbial bus and used to go around on tour. So
yep. So did I.
Yeah, that was quite.
I had no idea.
Yeah, even my mother-in-law, she says, "So does it go on tour?" And I said, "I think so." So I had to ask the embarrassing question to Zoe and said, "What is a book tour?" So she said, "Trust me, I know what I'm doing." I was like, okay. So yeah, I'm quite looking forward to seeing how that works. And I think that starts on Wednesday.
Magic. It does, yeah. Yep. Yep, I'm kicking it off. Well, I'm one of the people kicking it off. I think there's a couple on Wednesday, so yeah.
Yeah,
Your
I was
face
quite
will be-
surprised actually. There's quite a few bloggers that have got involved. I'm quite shy. I'm excited, but I'm nervous all at the same time to see how it's going to go. Whether the bus is going to break down or not. You know, that's
Zoe's got it under control. You can have absolute faith in that, so it will be fine.
yeah. It'll be a busy week, but one I'm looking forward to. I'm nervous, but I'm looking forward to it definitely.
Good. I should hope so too.
I think she's a perfect girl for the job, so I've got all my faith in her.
She is. She's incredible. Love her.